Hello everyone, welcome to the online classes of biology for class 12th. Today we'll take up chapter 6, molecular basis of inheritance, and the topic is replication. Learning objectives for this session: replication, steps involved in process, machinery and the enzymes, replication fork, experimental proof of semi-conservative mode of DNA replication. While proposing the double helical structure for DNA, Watson and Crick had immediately proposed a scheme for replication of DNA. To quote their original statement, that is as follows: "It has not escaped our notice that the specific pairing we have postulated immediately suggests a possible copying mechanism for the genetic material." The scheme suggested that the two strands would separate and acts as a template for the synthesis of new complementary strands. After the completion of replication, each DNA molecule would have one parental and one newly synthesized strand. The scheme was termed as semi-conservative DNA replication. As you are able to see in the picture that one DNA strand after replication is producing two exact copies of itself. Replica is exact copy. So in replication we get exact copy of the parental strand. The reddish pink one is the parental strand and the purple strand is the newly synthesized strand. The newly synthesized one get formed on the basis of the base complementarity rule. That means if the parental strand is having a base, so in front of it, that is in its complementation, the newly synthesized strand will be having thymine. If there is C on the parental strand, so on the newly synthesized one we will be having G, and both will get bind together with the help of double or triple bond, whatever is applicable. As in A and T there lies the double hydrogen bond, and in C and G there is triple bond. Now about the process of DNA replication. The DNA makes multiple copies of itself. It is a biological polymerization which proceeds in the sequence of initiation, elongation, and termination. That means 3 steps are there. The process gets initiated, the strands get elongated, and finally, after complete formation of the new strand, the process gets terminated. The whole process takes place with the help of enzymes, where DNA dependent DNA polymerase being the chief enzyme. Now about the steps involved in the process. The process, as I have told you, it has 3 main steps: initiation, elongation, and termination. First, the initiation process. DNA replication demands a high degree of accuracy because even a minute mistake would result in mutations. Thus, replication cannot initiate randomly at any point in DNA. One more important thing I want to mention here, that when there is a DNA strand which is not able to produce its replica while you are providing it all the essential conditions, then what can be the possible reason for it? The most possible reason is that the DNA strand must be missing an ori. That means if the ori is not there in the strand, the DNA strand is not able to replicate. For the replication to begin, there is a particular region called origin of replication, that is ori. This is the point where the replication originates. Replication begins with the spotting of this origin, followed by the unwinding of the two DNA strands. Unwinding is uncoiling. Unzipping, again, it is unwinding or uncoiling of DNA strand in its entire length is unfeasible due to high energy input. Hence, first a replication fork is created, as I have told you earlier, that Y-shaped structure, which catalyzed by the polymerase enzyme, which is an opening in the DNA strand. Elongation. As the strands are separated, the polymerase enzyme starts synthesizing the complementary sequence in each of the strands. The parental strand will act as a template for the newly synthesizing daughter strands. This is to be noted that the elongation is unidirectional. This is a very important point. You need to remember it, that DNA is always polymerized only in the 5' to 3' direction. Therefore, in one strand, the template 3' to 5', the synthesis of DNA is continuous. Hence, it is called as the continuous replication, while on the other parental strand, with the template 5' to 3', it is discontinuous replication. They occur as fragments called Okazaki fragments, and the enzyme called DNA ligase joins them later. Third process is termination. Termination of replication occurs in different ways in different organisms. In E. coli-like organisms, chromosomes are circular, and this happens when the two replication forks between the two terminals meet each other. That means when the point from where the process starts in a circular DNA, when the replication keep on proceeding and finally it reaches the same point, and it results into the separation of the two exact copies, and this is termed as the termination process. Now here about the machinery and the enzymes. DNA replication is a high energy dependent and highly enzyme dependent process. There are many enzymes involved in the DNA replication, which includes the enzymes DNA dependent DNA polymerase, helicase, ligase, etc. Among them, DNA dependent DNA polymerase is the main enzyme. DNA-dependent DNA polymerase helps in polymerization and catalyzes and regularizes the whole process of DNA replication with the support of other enzymes. Deoxyribonucleoside triphosphate are the substrate as well as enzyme providers for the replication process. Now, helicase. It is the enzyme which helps in breaking down the hydrogen bonds between the two strands of DNA. It unzips the DNA strands, and thus it helps in the formation of replication fork. Next enzyme is topoisomerase. It unwinds or uncoils the DNA strand. Ligase. It is the enzyme which glues or joins the discontinuous DNA strands. Primase. This enzyme helps in the synthesis of RNA primer complementary to the DNA template strand. Endonucleases. These produce a single-stranded or a double-stranded cut in the DNA molecules. Single-stranded binding proteins. It binds to single-stranded DNA and protect it from forming secondary structures. Deoxyribonucleoside triphosphate has dual function, as we have discussed already. It acts as a substrate as well as energy molecule. Now about the replication fork. As you are able to see that at the site of ori, Due to the breakdown of hydrogen bond, we get a Y-shaped structure. When we will rate the polarity, that means either it is 3' to 5' or 5' to 3', we need to take it from the broader end of the Y instead of the narrow end. That means while reading the polarity, we will start it from the white part. Now there, as you are able to see in the figure, first focus on the picture. Here, when we are reading the polarity from the wider part of the Y, that is the open part of the Y, the 3' to 5' is a suitable parental template, because we know that the newly synthesized DNA will get synthesized in the direction of 5' towards the 3' end. And if the parent template is 3' to 5', then both are in a perfect direction. That means both have a perfect polarity, because they will be complementary to each other as well as anti-parallel. So on 3' to 5' template, the newly synthesized one will be is synthesized in the direction that is 5' to 3', and so there will be continuous synthesis without any interruption with the help of the DNA dependent DNA polymerase enzyme and the substrate molecule. In the substrate molecule, because we are having triphosphate, and in a nucleotide we are having only a single phosphate, so the triphosphate get breakdown. It releases one of the phosphate which get combined with the sugar and the nitrogenous base, and it turns into a nucleotide, and then with the help of the DNA polymerase enzyme, it get attached to the place, and finally the polymerization takes place, one molecule after the another one, and we get a strand which is newly synthesized. So it depends upon the complementation, that whatever base is present on the parental strand, in front of it, in the newly synthesized one, there will be a complementary base. Suppose there is adenine in the parental template, in front of it there will be only thymine. If there is cytosine, then in the newly synthesized one, there will be the nucleotide which is having the guanine base, because C pairs up with G and A pairs up with T. C and G paired by triple bond, and A and T paired by double bond. Now, in the second strand, the first one, which is having a continuous synthesis, that parent strand, that is the blue one, it will be termed as the leading strand, because there is continuous synthesis. Now, take up the second strand, in which you again read the polarity from the wider end, that is 5' towards the 3' end, and here this strand will be termed as the lagging strand, Lagging. And why it is termed as a lagging strand? Because here the newly synthesized strand, because the polarity is 5' to 3', and the newly synthesized will also be getting synthesized in the direction of 5' to 3'. So the DNA polymerase read this lagging strand in small segments, and so the synthesis will towards the downward direction, that is the DNA polymerase read it from the upper side towards the downward side, that is from the narrow end of the DNA towards the wider end. And so because of the opposite directions, as it need to be formed in 5' to 3', but the polarity is not suitable at that time if we are getting a continuous strand. So to get a perfect polarity and complementation, the newly synthesized strand will be formed in a small segments, and those small segments are termed as the Okazaki segments, which later on get joined with the help of DNA ligase enzyme. And the strand, that is the parental strand on which those small segments are getting formed, that is the Okazaki fragments are formed, that parental strand is termed as the lagging strand. Later on, both the strand, one parental and one newly synthesized, they get wind up again, and so we get from one DNA molecule two DNA molecules with exact features, or we can say they are the exact copy of each other. Now back to the literature part. The replication does not initiate randomly at any place in DNA. There is a definite region where the replication originates. Now it is clear to you people, and such regions are termed as the ori. Now about the process in brief. DNA replication takes place in the following steps, or the following process. The two strands of DNA unwind at the origin of replication, that is ori. Helicase opens the DNA and replication forks are produced. The DNA is coated by the single-stranded binding proteins around the replication fork to prevent rewinding of DNA. Topoisomerase prevent the supercoiling of DNA, or we can say that it unwinds the DNA. RNA primers are synthesized by the primase enzyme, and these primers are complementary to the DNA strand. DNA polymerase start adding nucleotides at the end of the primer. The leading and lagging strands continues to elongate. The primers are removed and the gaps are filled with DNA polymerase and sealed by ligase. Deoxyribonucleoside triphosphate has dual function. It acts as a substrate as well as energy molecule. Now about the experimental proof of semi-conservative mode of DNA replication. I think it is clear to all of you that semi-conservative is what? When a DNA strand is having one parental strand and another strand is newly synthesized. And we know that the bacteria multiplies in 20 minutes. So if we are getting a experimental setup of a bacteria colony, then at that time within 40 minutes we will be getting two generation. In first 20 minutes we will get the first and second generation, and in the next 20 minutes we will be getting the third generation. Here we have considered the main bacterium or the parent bacterium as the first generation. Now you are able to see that from one strand we are getting two strands of DNA, then again from two we are having four. So the process of replication is taking place. Let's discuss it in detail. It is now proven that DNA replicates semi-conservatively. It was shown first in Escherichia coli and subsequently in higher organisms such as plants and human cells. Michelson and Steele performed the following experiment in 1958. It is a very important question for board exam, and you need to practice the experimental figure also. They grew E. coli in a medium containing 15 NH4Cl. 15N is the heavy isotope of nitrogen, as the only nitrogen source for many generations. Now I would like to mention here that the complete experiment based on the principle of density. So there will be no radioactivity, only two isotopic forms of nitrogen, N14 the lighter nitrogen and the N15 the heavier form. The nutritive medium that will be used in the experiment is ammonium chloride. And to check the density, we will get, or in the experiment they have used the cesium chloride density gradient scale. Now back to the topic. The result was that 15N was incorporated into newly synthesized DNA as well as other nitrogen containing compounds. That means if E. coli is grown on a 15 NH4Cl medium, then in the subsequent generation there will be no 14N, there will be 15N in each nitrogenous compound because we have provided them a medium which is having nitrogen in a heavier isotopic form. This heavy DNA molecule could be distinguished from the normal DNA by centrifugation in a cesium chloride density gradient, and it need to be noted down that 15N is not a radioactive isotope and it can be separated from 14N only based on densities. The second is, then they transferred the cells into a medium containing normal 14NH4Cl. So you need to remember that at the start of the experiment they have took up 15N and now they are taking 14 and took samples at various definite time intervals as the cell multiplied and extracted the DNA that remained as double-stranded helices. The various samples were separated independently on the gradient scale to measure the densities of the DNA. Thus, the DNA that was extracted from the culture one generation after the transfer from 15N to 14N, that is after 20 minutes, had a hybrid or intermediate density. DNA extracted from the culture after another generation, that is after 40 minutes, was composed of equal amount of this hybrid DNA and of light DNA. Now there again have a look of the experiment now in detail. We have incorporated 15N and on the DNA of the bacterial cell. Now we have get it multiplied for 20 minutes and the medium in which the whole process is taking place is having 14N as a source, that is 14NH4Cl. Now here in the first offspring generation, what we are having is the parental strand, it will get separated and there will be a newly synthesized one on each parental strand, and this is a hybrid DNA in which one strand is 15N and the another strand is having 14N. In the first one, when we isolated the cell and get it on the cesium chloride density gradient, we are having a band towards the lower side. And then from the first offspring generation, when we are having the hybrid variety and isolating it on the cesium chloride density gradient scale, we are having a band towards a little upper side because the molecular weight has been reduced now. And then again, when we are proceeding the experiment for next 20 minutes, what will happen? Both the strand will get separated, focus on a single molecule, that is hybrid. The through strand gets separated. Now the source is only 14N. So on the 14N strand, there will be the synthesis of 14N again. And on 15N, again there will be formation of 14N. That means after 40 minutes, there will be no heavier DNA. There will be a hybrid DNA as well as the lighter DNA. And when we get it isolated, then again we are having a band of lighter one towards the upper side. It means in each step there is a decrease or reduction in the molecular weight, which proved that DNA replicates by semi-conservative method. Thank you for the patient listening.